Hello there, this is Deborah, and today this tutorial will show you how you can make your very own Pumpkin Pie Crunch Emulsifying Luxurious Body Butter. Now we have a lot of things on this table, so first of all, I don't want you to be intimidated by it because we don't have to use all those things. That is the Pumpkin Pie Crunch fragrance oil we're going to be using. Like I said, we have a lot of products on here, but you won't need all of these things, just the basics you're going to see as we go. You will need some emulsifying wax, so I hope you have that on hand. You're going to need some cocoa butter. We have some organic raw cold pressed mango butter. We have some shea butter. So we have some avocado oil. We have some argan oil. We have some avocado kernel oil. Okay. And just knock that over, but it is sealed, so there ain't no spills here today. We have some stearic acid. We have some alcohol to clean the whole area. Now you're going to make sure your whole area has been cleaned, and mine has already been sterilized. You're going to need some distilled water. Anytime you're doing emulsification, you need distilled water. And with distilled water comes preservative. This is Optifin that we're using today. I do use some other different preservative, but we're using Optifin today. You're going to need some jars, something with a top that you can seal your product in. I have some little tiny sample ones that I usually make for my customers to give out. We also have 2 scales, but we're only going to use one. This one's a little bit off. My next thing is to save some money to get a really good scale here. So I do have a good scale right now, but I really need a really good one. We're going to be using a stick immerser. We're also going to be using a temperature gauge. So if you don't have one like this, if you have a candy gauge or whatever you have, as long as it takes the temperature of the heat properly, then go for it. I also have a lot of spatulas and whisks because I do use a lot of spatulas because I'm making more than one product today, and that's what that's all about. So you don't need all of that. I also have a stainless steel pan, and you can use any pan you have to measure in. You're not a problem here. I also have some little paplets, and the reason for that, you can put them in your essential oils and your fragrance oils to keep it, because usually when you pour the oil, they spill a little bit, and that way you're not spilling anything. I have some little measuring glasses here. I have some Pyrex measuring cups. I have some plastic measuring cups with long funnels that if you don't get your butters too thick or move too slow, you can pour it out. So with all of this, you want to make sure that you just have the main ingredients. You don't need everything on the table here, but I just put everything out because I'm doing a few other projects today, but we will be doing the Pumpkin Pie Crunch Body Butter tutorial today. Also, you want to make sure you clean all your utensils and everything with a little bleach and some water just to make sure everything is sterilized, because anytime you're making products to resell or for yourself, you want to make sure you have a hairnet or have your hair pulled back, have some gloves on, have a little apron. You just pretend you are working in a factory, okay? That way you'll do everything right. Just pretend that someone's looking, because you know you got to get it right if it's going to be for resale, even for your family. So now what I'm doing is adding my butters first. There's no one way you can add your butters first or oil first, but either way, just as long as you keep a nice format, you're going to do good. And the reason I say that is because many times if you don't have a phase or a format or part, how you're doing it, you can just end up just kind of putting everything in the pot and realize that you forgot something. So just to save you some troubles, these are a few little nuggets that I want to give to you today, and I'm just gonna act like you're standing right here in front of me, asking questions, wanting to know how to do this correctly. Now that scale didn't measure out right, so we're just going to move on over to the scale that I know worked good for me, but I do want a better scale. So, okay, I hope my son's listening. I need a new scale, son. Or hubby, whoever. Okay, so I'll probably buy one myself. I can save my money to do that. Anyway, let's get on back. Let's stay on the program here. Don't get off the track, Deborah. With the butters and everything, some other makers that make these products, they will cook their hard butters first. Let's not use the word cook. They will heat up their hard butters first. Perfect measurements. Everything came out right there. So I was making sure that that is the right measurement there. They will cook their butters. They will heat their butters first and then add their soft oils later. And the reason I've been told for that is because they think that it will burn off the good properties. But that's not true in my case. It might be true in theirs, but it's not true in my case. The reason for that is because, first of all, I'm going to use a double boiler. Second, I'm not going to get my temperature up past 180, maybe 187, 89, but never at 200, because this recipe calls you to heat your oils up to 180, and it's not going to burn off the properties. So each is on, but if you follow this tutorial, this is the way we're going to roll with it today, because it works really good for me, and I hope it works good for you. But if you're following this tutorial, please follow it to the end. Follow it like I'm doing, and that way you'll turn out the same awesome butter that we're making here today. Okay, so these are just some little nuggets that I'm just throwing in for you, because from trial and error, if that's going to help you not make the same boo-boos I made, I'd rather see that happen for you. Another little thing about this is many times you can find a lot of videos and you jump about, because that's what I did when I first started. But I would say to you, get comfortable before you jump around too many times trying to make that same product. Kind of stick it out and make the product, follow it to the T until you're comfortable. Okay, that measured out good. I just keep putting these thumbs up because I'm making sure everything is precision. Everything is the right amount here. That's pretty important. It's even more important when you get to the preservative. And we will talk more about the preservative today, because I do have some that come on my YouTube channel and come on my Facebook page, and that is some concerns of how much. So we will get there. We'll get there. Just hang on. If I can do anything for you today, I like to bring you comfort, joy, and peace while you're making your products, to tell you that you can do it and you can get it done, and you're going to have a lot of gratification from it, and your family and friends are going to love your products. Okay, so just want to bring you a little nugget there to tell you you're going to roll real good with this today. Okay, so I'm adding my hard butters here, and I will be adding my liquid oils as well, and I will be putting the liquid oils and the butters in the pot together. I will not be cooking the butters by themselves and then coming back and adding something later, because I like to keep everything formatted and phases or steps, because if you fall out of steps or phases with this, like I said, you can have a lot of products added, and then after you've got them done, you realize you left out something. I remember the first time I made body butters, I was so nervous. I sweated through my gloves. I sweated like crazy. And I was trying to follow a little kit that I had bought from Nature's Garden. And I followed it so well that I forgot to add the stearic acid in later. And the butters was soft, and they never did harden up. And you're talking about somebody crying like a little baby. I was so sad, because it was such a letdown, because I already paid that money for that product. I were smart enough, thank God, to reheat it up and put the stearic acid in it, and I did have the right preservative that I was able to add the preservative. I did burn the preservative off, because anytime you reheat something and you get it over the temperature or what it need to be for your preservative, you burn off the preservative. So that was a lesson learned. So I don't want to see that happen to you, okay? I want to see you make your body butter, do everything good. I know there's trials and errors, and I know you can still mess up, but today I really want to not leave any steps out for you. I want to take you all the way so that you can have confidence in making this product. Now, I will be making a small little recipe, well, actually giving I'm going to formulate a small little recipe for you along with this video so that you don't have to use all of this amount and something go wrong. Not saying that it will, but I'm thinking about you here. I'm thinking if I can make you a small little recipe that you can try to get it under your belt and feel comfortable and to build some confidence, help you get some confidence over this, it's going to be amazing for me and for you, because hopefully you'll let me know that it turned out good for you. So I'm going to make a little small recipe for you, and I'm going to put it in the description box for you to try. Now, I hope you try it and see that it's going to be awesome. Okay, so now I have added some of the soft liquid oils along with the butters here. The next phase, I'm going to be taking it over after this over to the pot, but I'm trying to stay on focus here, trying not to talk too fast so that you can get this, because see, I already got it in my head. I just got to talk slow enough to help you get it in your head if this is the first time you've ever made emulsifying silky smooth body butter. Now there's a lot of other ways of making this body butter. There's whipped body butter, but I'm not going to confuse you here. I'm going to stay on this path that we're on right now. Okay, and I'm going to try to talk slower. Like I said, I'm just going to, I don't know if I said that, but anyway, I'm just going to go slow, and I'm just going to visualize you're standing here watching me make this body butter, and you're asking me questions. So my thing I would say to Deborah today, and that's me, stop talking so fast, Deborah. Slow down so they can get it. I got you. Okay. So now we're adding the avocado oil, and this is kind of pre-measured recipe, so I make this one all the time. But anyway, I can still mess up too, so I've got to slow my roll down here and talk slower and try to talk as correctly as I can so that you can get this. Okay, so at this point now I'm adding olive squalane. Now I will post up here in the video so you can see how it's spelled, because I don't always pronounce things as good, and I'm sorry about that, but I can make some good body butter. Okay, so I will put it here so you can see. There it is, so you can see exactly how it's spelled. It's a little bit expensive, this olive squalane, but it's going to be worth it, because this is going to be one luxurious body butter. Your skin's going to be like, thank you, this feels really good. This is the perfect time to make body butter, because it's getting really cool and the skin get really dry. At least my skin get really dry and ashy. My Caucasian friends say I get dry and ashy too. You just can't see the ash, but you can see the ash on my chocolate skin. And so I'm going to put this body butter on, and it feels amazing. So for your skin's going to love this body butter for the winter time. I use it in the summertime too, but I don't put the stearic acid in the summer as much, because stearic acid that we're going to be using later is pretty dense. Okay, we're headed over to phase 2. Yeah, phase 2. Now phase 2 consists of your butters and your oils together in this pan over, yeah, phase 2, I got it, over your pot that has your water in it. Now this is a makeshift pot here. So to make this double boiler, I just basically had a pot that was used from my mixer that went bad. I was able to keep this stainless steel pot, and who would have thought to put this pot over this big pot, and it fit fine. So it works out really good. So if you don't have a precision pot already bought or made, you can make your own. Just take a pot that's a little bit bigger, or like this one, they match up pretty good, and put something under the bottom so that it will not be touching the fire. That's the most important thing. You don't want to cook this oil and butter, you want to heat it up. Okay, so you see the temperature gauge here, so it's at 150. Now I'm going to slow down to make sure you get this. We're going to heat the butters and the oils here in this pot up to 180. So if you're following along, you're going to heat your butters and your oils up to 180, okay? Once your butters and oils reach 180, if you are using raw butters, like I'm using the raw cold press mango butter, we are going to let it heat up an additional 20 minutes, okay? Let me repeat that. If you're using any raw butters with your oils, you're going to heat them up. Once it reaches 180, you're going to cut your fire down to make sure it stays at 180 and go for an additional 20 minutes, okay? I hope you got that. I'm just working hard wanting you to get that. Okay, I've got a lot of steam kind of coming from the side of my pot. So as you can see, I stopped and poured some of the water off, and all I'm going to do is put the oils and butters back on. So if that happened to you, and it can, because I do that a lot, sometimes you just got to know exactly how much water you want to put in the bottom pot that's not going to boil over. Sometimes I'm thinking if I don't put enough water, it's going to all boil out and the pot's going to get burned, and that's the reason that happened. But that's not the case. It don't happen that way all the time unless you just got a tiny, tiny bit of water and you just want enough water to cover the pan that has the oils and butters in, okay? Sorry about that. Didn't mean to move the camera like that. Okay, so let's make sure you're getting that. We're going to go into our next phase in a little bit, and that's going to be to add the water, but we haven't got there yet. So we're going to, let's see, where are we at here? Let's take another temperature there. We're at 145, and the reason the temperature dropped down is because I had to take the pot off, the top one off, to pour out some of the water. But it's all good. It's going to get back up to 180, and once it's at 180, we're going to hold it for additional 20 minutes to cool, to heat, to make sure the raw butters have cooked a little longer. Now if you say, well, why do you have to, I'm listening, you're standing in front of me, okay? You're saying, why the raw butters got to cook an extra 20 minutes? What's that all about? Okay, I can answer that for you. The reason it has to cook an additional 20 minutes is because any raw material could have some bacteria or a little contamination. Not saying it's bad. Well, it would be bad for this, but not a problem. We're going to cook it for an extra 20 minutes. So that's why. You're going to cook it extra 20 minutes to make sure that heat, I can't say cooking. You're going to heat for extra 20 minutes to make sure that you burn off, you heat off those bacterias, okay? So 180 really does the job, but the extra 20 minutes take care of business. Should I put it that way? So now we're at phase 3, and this is the water phase. So you're pouring off, say for instance you need 10 ounces of water. You're going to go past 10 ounces, and the reason for that is because the water, once it heat up, it makes some steam, and the steam is going to take away some of the water. It's going to evaporate some of the water. So to keep that from happening, to get your perfect measurement, just go over that a little bit, but don't forget, once it heat up and it's ready, you're going to want to pour off the 10 ounces or whatever ounces you need for your body butter. Okay, so don't forget that. Don't end up just, sorry about that, I keep shaking that camera. Don't forget, you don't want to forget to do that. Hopefully, I keep saying it, don't forget to pour off your water to the right measurements, okay? Alrighty, I think you got that. Like I said, I'm just going to pretend you're standing right in front of me and you're asking me why. Why this and why that. So I'm going to answer as though you are standing here. Okay, so I'm going to take another temperature here. And I'm at 185, which is okay. I'm going to cut the fire down a little bit to hold it at 180. And I'm going to be setting the timer for the extra 20 minutes. That's what you see me getting ready to do. I'm going to set the timer. I'm just lowering the camera so you can see. I'm setting the timer for 20 minutes more to hold it for the raw organic mango butter that's in this recipe. Now, in your recipe, you might have all raw organic butters. And if that be the case, it's still the same because your oils are refined. There is cold press oils, but they've already been taken care of that way. It's just the butters that we are concerned about. So if it's all butters, just let it go. After reach 180, let it go for an additional 20 minutes, okay? Don't forget, additional 20 minutes. Okay, we got our water up to 146, which is fine. It's good to go. We're going to test our oils to see where they're at. Now remember, if your water is too cool, under the 140, it may not cause your butters, oils, and emulsifying wax to set up. So now we got that going. So now I'm going to go over and we're going to measure out. We're going to measure out our Stuart acid and our emulsifying wax, and we're going to take it back over to the pot because everything's ready. Now you can, if you're comfortable, you can skip this phase and add the wax and your emulsifying wax and your Stuart acid with your oils, but I don't do it that way. So I hope you will follow this way until you're comfortable, and then you can set your own steps and your phases up pretty much like what you see here. But this just works out really good for me to set it up that way. Everything, if it's formatted really good and your steps are right and you follow those steps in your formats and your phases, you're going to do really good. And the reason I say that is because I've bought kits when I first started this. When I first made my very first body butter and lotion, I bought a kit and I followed that kit, I thought, to the T. And I was all excited. And when everything was poured up, it never did harden up. And I was like, what happened? What happened? And I looked and there was this little tiny bag underneath a piece of paper for the Stuart acid and the emulsifying wax. How did I miss it? How did I miss it? Because it didn't turn milky. That was because I didn't know what I was doing and I was learning. And I messed up the whole kit. I was able to later on get enough confidence to go back, and I did have enough preservative left to measure out and recook, but I didn't take it to the farmer's market. Trust me, I used it on myself. I didn't even give it to my friends to use. I was so afraid it was going to break out or something was going to happen, but it didn't happen like that. Everything worked out fine, but trials and errors. So if I can save you some troubles, that's what I want to do for you today. Okay, so we've added the wax and the Stuart acid over into the pot, and it melts so fast that's why I don't bother to add it with everything. I just add it just like you've seen in this phase. Okay, so that works out for me, and I think it's going to help you too to do that. Now maybe some say, well, if you would have added, I'm listening to you, I'm pretending you're talking to me. You said if you would have added the Stuart acid along with your emulsifying wax to your oils, you wouldn't have messed up. Well, that's possible too. But there's a reason for the reason I did this. It's just formatted really good like this for me. This is how I was taught. I'm at 158, and I'm still holding the timer for the additional 20 minutes. So it's going to go off in a little bit, and I'm going to cut it off. Okay, so I'm moving my camera because it's already saying ding, 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 means time to cut it off. So I've cut it off because I've held it that 20 minutes for the raw mango butter. Okay, so I'm at 171 for the water. It's a little bit high, so I'm going to try to cool it down a little bit more. I'm going to cut the fire down because you can go ahead and add it at 171, but trust me, you're going to be waiting a little longer before the cool down process. So about 146 or so, you're going to be doing really good. And the reason for that is because you don't want it too cool, because if it's too cool, it's going to keep your oils, your butters, and your emulsifying waxes and fluid acids from emulsifying. So that's why it's so important to get your temperature up enough so when it hits this oil and butters and emulsifying wax and fluid acid, you're going to see the chain reaction. You're going to see these molecules come together and do some emulsifying. Okay, so don't be nervous. Don't sweat too much like I did when I first started. Like I said, I sweated through my gloves. I was sweating. Sweat was running off my face, and I still messed up. But this was a learning experience. That's been many body butters behind me now, many lotions behind me now, because I kept going. I never stopped. I didn't stop till I perfected and then created my own little way of doing things. All right, we at 180. So that is so awesome. So we held the butters, the extra 20 minutes for that. Okay, we at 146, and we're good. We're good to go. So now it's time to get down and do some emulsifying, making some emulsifying, smooth, luxurious body butter. That's what you're going to make today. Okay? I've got confidence in you. You're going to do so well. You're not going to be sweating. You're going to be smiling from head to toe because you're following this recipe and you're feeling excited and you're all motivated to make this butter today. And don't worry, if you don't have these products, buy them, and when you're ready, come back to this video and we'll rock and roll, because I'll be right here with this tutorial waiting on you, okay? So don't worry, I'm right here. Okay, so we're getting ready now to add, watch. And by the way, I've already poured off the water that I needed, the right temperature, so I've already poured that extra ounces of water off, and we got the right amount, so everything's good to go. So the next thing you're going to do, you're going to take your stick immerser here, leave your fire still going just a little bit, leave it on just very warm, put your stick mixer all the way down in the pot. Don't have it sticking up a little bit because you're going to get a lot of bubbles. We're going to get a lot of air bubbles because we are using the stick mixer here. And the reason you can't use a hand mixer is because it's not an immerser. You need a stick immerser. This is a stick immerser. Don't do like I did. I didn't have an immerser and I had my hand mixer. It didn't work, okay? So please remember a stick immerser. And you can find these on eBay, Amazon, in the Walmarts, different places. You don't have to have no big throwdown fancy name. Although I do have a big Clyde that I paid about $200 for, and it's in the cabinet. Why? Because something happened to it. Why I can't even disconnect it. It's really awesome. $200 later, and it's sitting in the cabinet. This one is not that expensive, and it's still working. Okay, as you can see, we're bubbling up. Now I let it bubble up to show you if you keep going, this is what can happen. I've cut my fire all the way down, and we're going to be moving this over. You're going to be taking your body butter out of the double boiler over to the safe area, should I say the cool down area, to cool down. And the sink is the best place to cool it down. Why the sink? It's just less cleanup. I just love the sink. And as you can see, my sink is nice and clean. It's been sterilized. I keep the sink nice and clean along with everything else when I'm making products. Why? Because you want to sterilize everything. Even the faucet handles. I go crazy when I'm using that bleach. Okay, so here I'm sticking the immerser in. What we're going to do at this point, everything is pretty much emerged, has been emulsified, but it's cooling down a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and keep going, because when you got it on the stove and it's rising up like that, you can't keep going. You got to take it off the stove, put it in the sink. Yes, the sink. If you don't have a sink, whatever you have, if you have a big old pan bigger than this, put it in that. It's okay. If you want to put it on your counter, do that too. I'm not going to make it so hard that you can't follow along. Okay, so you can see it's rising up, but it's in the sink, and I'm going to be stopping in a few minutes here There we go, because it has actually been done enough. I'm not going to tell you 5 minutes, 2 minutes to do this. I want you to just keep doing it just a little bit longer until you feel confidence. It's hot, so it's not gonna get stiff on you. You don't want to do it past 20 minutes. Oh, let me not tell you that. Don't do it too long, okay? Because everything has already been emulsified. What we're doing is just doing it just a little bit longer. See, look at the bubbles. See how they've already emulsified? You can already see the body butter. See how it's not dripping off of the stick mixer here? So if you hold it up, if that'll help you, if this will help you, when you are using the immerser here and you pull it up and it looks like this, and you take your fingers, with your gloves on, of course, and you can see where it's feeling creamy, stop. Let that be your stopping point, okay? I think that'll help you, instead of me saying 5 minutes and you do 5 minutes and it hasn't got where you want it to get, okay? So just when you use your stick immerser and you do it for a little bit and you hold it up and you see that it's not dripping off, it's time to stop. Now I'm putting a little bit of alcohol because there's a lot of bubbles here. You don't have to do that. That's not a requirement. The reason I'm doing that is because I found out I could, from another learning that, and it keeps down the bubbles. It kind of dissipates the bubbles. Now you can wait patiently because it does have to cool down and those bubbles will disappear. But I'm showing you a tutorial and I need to do it this way today, but don't feel you need to do it that way, because see, it's doing everything it needs to do. I just wanted the bubbles to dissipate a little bit so that this video is not so long, and I want you to stick around to make this body butter. So that's the reason for that. I was thinking about you because I didn't have to put the alcohol. I could basically wait it out too, but I don't want the video to keep going and going. I just want these phases just to be nice and smooth and guide you into where you need to be. Okay, at this point I'm taking a temperature to see where it's at, and it's not ready because it's actually too hot. So you're saying to me, what you mean it's not ready? We're at the cool down phase where we're getting ready to let it cool down so that we can add our preservative. Preservative is going to be the last phase here before you pour it into your containers. So what we're doing is just letting it cool down. And to help you, I didn't shorten this video, but I did wait a little bit until it cooled down so I could come back with this video to keep it going so that you can get this. So we're just getting ready for it to cool down enough to put our preservative. And remember, we did talk about preservative. I did share with you that we're going to talk about preservative. Okay, so I'm going to take another temperature, and voila, we at 105. 110 would have been nice, but 105 is good. Now you don't want it too cool where it has already, add my preservative. That's preservative I'm adding in. I'm adding in the Optifin. But you don't want your butters to cool down to the point that they're so stiff that when you add your preservative, you got to really mix it, because your immerser does not mix really good once it's too stiff. This immerser is more geared up for liquids. Okay, it's good up for liquids. You can put it in solids, but it will not do at that point what it normally would do for liquids. That's what an immerser is. An immerser means liquids. Now if I got that wrong, you can call me out on it. But from trial and error, I know that this immerser does not mix things very well when they get too stiff. But it does well with liquids. That's an immerser for you. Okay, so what I did, once I put the preservative in, this is the time you can add your preservative, add your fragrance oils. Now, if you was going to color this pumpkin pie crunch body butter, this would be the time to add your mica, your body safe mica, into this product, M-I-C-A, mica. Okay, this would be the time to add your colorants in, your body safe colorants, over into this container. My customers, this is a custom order, and my customers pretty much told me what they would like to see in this body butter, and that's what we did. that's why we added the olive squalene into this recipe. I normally do not add that in, but this is going to be a luxurious product that they wanted. Now, if you at this phase, this is the last phase, and this is not really a phase, this is just pour up, you know, to pour it up, okay, before it was still nice and fluent. Some wait to add it later, and you can do that if you want your body butter done that way. But if you follow this recipe, follow this tutorial, this is how we roll, okay? We're going to put it in the jar, and we're not going to put the top on the jar because there's a lot of condensation because it's still warm. So you're just going to set it to the side, let it cool all the way down. If you have to let it cool 24 hours, so be it. You can cover it with something, but just let it cool down before you add your top on. Never, I repeat, never add your top on while it's still warm because you're going to build up a lot of condensation, which could later turn into bacteria and fungus and mold. You don't want that. You want your product to be done right. And you're doing a good job. So now if you're pouring this up and you said, whoa, it looks so liquidy, don't worry. It's going to harden up. Even as we're speaking, it's starting to firm up. So don't worry, okay? You're doing a good job, and it's going to turn out fine for you. That's my confidence in this product here that I'm making today. You're going to do good if you follow this recipe. You're going to do good, okay? So don't worry. Give yourself a pat on the back because you've gotten this far. Okay, so like I said, this is a custom order. They didn't want any mica, but if it was up to me, I would have added. There we go. Look how thick that is. See, it's starting to thicken up on me. So I'm going to have to move fast. But anyway, I would have loved to add some color to pumpkin. Can you imagine? Pumpkin is orange and that beautiful color. That butter would have looked so pretty. But it ain't about pretty. It's about my customers only wanting that done this way. And a lot of times I do it this way. I don't always add color, but I do love color. Okay, so see how thick that is? I just barely got it all put into the jars before it got too thick. It's awesome. It's going to feel good. So if you gotten this far, give yourself a pat on the back again. You done good. We had fun. And I hope you had fun. And I hope you come back to tell me how well it turned out. Okay, you guys, have an awesome and a blessed day. Bye now. Love you much.